I hope you enjoyed the last video on the liquid application. This video now is actually be recorded the same morning. The reason why I'm doing that is this next concoction is going to take 4 or 5 days to make. So I need to get it started now, and I'm using those good old-fashioned 4-gallon buckets. I'm doing this video on alfalfa tea because at the beginning of our YouTube channel, when the roses were small and the yard looked terrible, this is one of my most popular videos. It was a 2-part back-to-back on alfalfa tea. I will link it below. It's a little more in depth. This is going to be quicker, and this is going to be one video showing you the before and after. But alfalfa tea is something you can make in the garden. It's very useful. Alfalfa pellets, sometimes meal if it's pulverized, can be found at your local stores. Some of them. The biggest luck I've had is Tractor Supply. I'm not sponsored by them, but anywhere I've lived, they usually have these alfalfa pellets. I think it was $15 for a 40-pound bag. I can't remember, but it's not much. And what this is, and I appreciate the comments, it's not a grass, it's a legume. And it is something that's very powerful because it has a growth stimulant in it. The analysis is usually 3-1-1. So 3 nitrogen, 1 phosphorus, 1 potassium. So you might say, Eric, those are pretty low numbers. Why are we putting that in the garden? This, when it breaks down, has something called tricontanol, and it is an alcohol. It's a growth stimulant, and it really makes plants grow well. There's 2 ways you can apply it. If you've got time on your side, and this is what I'll do later this spring and summer, you just put roughly a cup or so around the drip line of each rose bush. The drip line is the edge of where the leaves are. This will break down over the course of weeks. It'll look kind of weird in the garden as water gets in these, they expand. But that's a slow and easy way. That's a perfectly fine way to do it. Once or twice a year, I'll make a tea, usually after pruning, usually when the roses are starting to grow on their own, and I want to push them when they're ready to be pushed. The weather's warmed up, they have a lot of leaves, a lot of new growth, they're looking for some nitrogen. So I'll make a tea. And the general rule is about 8 to 10 cups per 32 gallons, which is roughly a trash can. Usually people make these in big old trash cans. Since I have 4-gallon buckets, each set of 8, I'll just do a cup. So a cup per 4 gallons. 8 to 10 cups per 32 gallons is the ratio. So again, for me, it's about a cup per 4-gallon bucket. You put a cup in the bucket, you fill it up with water, and then you let it set for 3, 4, 5 days. Stir it a couple times a day. And what it will do is it will turn into a tea. And the second part of this video now will show you what it looks like after I make it into a tea and it seeps for 4 or 5 days. Before I show you what it looks like on day 4 or 5 when this is a finished product, this is what it looks like after you've put it into the water. A few float to the top, a few get pulverized slightly, and then you'll notice that it's starting to make the tea. I'll stir it up once or twice a day. I know others are probably more sophisticated and have a different method, but this is a short, sweet, and simple one. And again, I have over 40 rose bushes, so that's why I'm doing this many containers. This is why a garden of 6 or 12 hybrid tea roses, you only need a couple buckets and a little bit of alfalfa pellets from the store. So just more reasoning that if you have a smaller garden, a little easier to manage. So I'll show you what it looks like after day 4 or 5, and then we'll put this application down and get these roses really humming along. This is a follow-up to the video we did this morning, first day, just probably about 8 hours later. You can see what the alfalfa meal looks like. It's all at the bottom, and so I just give it a light little stir, and this is just 8 hours later. So we'll do this the next couple days, and then we'll show you what it looks like on day 4 or 5 as we apply it in the garden itself. But you can see it's pretty much completely pulverized at this point. Now we're just going to let it seep for a few days. So it's been a couple days. I'm going to apply the alfalfa tea now. This is kind of what it looks like once the alfalfa breaks down. It kind of gets an orangish, brownish hue, and it starts to smell, especially in the summertime if this concoction gets hot. And then you'll see the pulp or the fibrous material just kind of rise to the top. But it's ready. This is only after 2.5 days. Sometimes I'll wait 3 or 4, but I've got other stuff to do. I just want to get this down. And again, you're making a tea. You're extracting all the goodies from the alfalfa pellets into the water. So I will apply this Some of this fibrous material will come out onto the rose bed, and that's perfectly fine. I don't. That's a good thing. You will still be left with some fibrous material in the bottom. So what you can do is you can refill these buckets or your trash can up, let it seep a couple more days, and reapply again. I want these buckets to be put away. I'm tired of them sitting in the yard. So I will fill the buckets back up and then use the extra non-brewed tea on my azaleas and my blueberries and some other things, just to get rid of the fibrous material and use it up. So that's it for the alfalfa tea video. I will link below the one from last year that was a little bit more detailed, but you get the general idea of what it should look like before you apply it. Doing this a couple times a year is going to help your roses, especially say after pruning time, especially when the leaves are really starting to come out on the roses, and then maybe about midsummer when they're kind of not looking so hot, they've been through a couple bloom cycles, and you want to revive them. Consider alfalfa tea in your garden, not just roses, but vegetables or anything you're trying to get growing well in that garden.